Force, tired.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power.
Why is the Force connected?
I am a Jedi. Always do, there are.
We're a dyad in the Force.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Force Diet Podcast, a Star Wars show covering the latest and greatest from the core worlds to the Outer Rim. If Star Wars is your space, we are your place. I'm your host, Obi Sean, and on tonight's episode, I'm joined by none other than the master himself, Jedi John. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing, man. Doing great.
Excellent. Survived Valentine's Day just fine. Yes, I hope. Yes.
Yeah. We don't do a whole lot for that, so yeah. You?
Yes. You know, after being married over a decade, Valentine's Day is usually pretty chill.
I'm coming up on 5 years, so I'll get there. I'll get there one day.
So we're coming off Star Wars Podcast Day was, I guess, a little over a week ago now, and we are in that lull before the storm that is the launch of the Bad Batch. Right, that's coming up this Wednesday, 3-episode drop.
It's so close. It's so close.
It's right here. It's on our doorstep. And so this episode, we thought it'd be fun to, there's obviously some new stuff there's stuff in the news. There we go. We got the Empire Magazine Phantom Menace release, so we'll talk a little bit about that. There was a news bulletin or news article yesterday about a new Mandalorian game. So we'll talk briefly on that, and then we will close the episode with our Bad Batch predictions. So our predictions sure to go wrong, but we've got a few different topics that we'll try and postulate about. But before we jump into that, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you're new to the show, welcome. If you're a returning listener, thanks for coming back. If you enjoy what you hear during today's show, please be sure to give the show a follow, subscribe to the show, and rate and review, whether that's on Apple or Spotify. There's ways to do both. So it's really helpful for the show. Doesn't take much. It's free and it's quick to do. So we would appreciate that. Thumbs ups.
Give us the thumbs up. Let's go. Smash that follow button.
The old Sisker and Ebert, 2 thumbs up. So as we dive into kind of our news section, I guess, we are unfortunately going to start on a slightly somber note because since the last time we recorded, we unfortunately lost Carl Weathers. He actually passed the day after we recorded our last episode, so we wanted to drop a little, in memoriam thing for him here. Of course, High Magistrate Grief Karga, actor, director, and a very important sort of piece, I guess, to the sort of new Star Wars universe, right? So, rest in peace, Carl Weathers.
The R.I.P. Gonna miss him.
The big sort of news release earlier this week, the Empire Magazine on the 15th dropped 2 special cover issues celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace, right? For all of us feeling old. The movie's coming back to theaters May 3rd. Your first thoughts, John? First of all, we got the hello there tease, right, on social media the day before they announced it, right? And everybody was expecting maybe an Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2. But we got this instead. So your first thoughts when you heard the news that Phantom Menace was coming back to theaters?
Well, similarly to you, outside of seeing the special edition for the original trilogy in theater, this was my first Star Wars experience in theaters when I was a kid, as for new Star Wars. And so bringing it back, I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see it on the big screen again. I remember being in the theater the first time. I mean, I was just a kid, just a wee lad, and just it'll be interesting, like that was one of the first movies, like outside of some Disney stuff, that my mom took me to, and yeah, so it drums up some memories there for me, and yeah, it should be a fun time. I hope we have a shot to see it. So
Yeah, I don't think they've announced locations yet, or movie
Nope.
theater locations. So now, is little man too? You think he's probably too young to take him to see it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can feed him enough sugar or popcorn or icy to keep him in a chair for a 2-hour window, but I can try. But I don't think I would. He's probably a little too young for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Although it's hard not to try. I mean, it's Star Wars in the theater. Like, man, he's alive, so like we're doing it.
Yeah, it's I'm the same way with Connor. Like, I really want to take him to see it, but then part of me is like, well, we could just watch it here, and he'd probably get the exact same feeling. Like, it won't have the same gravitas for him that it will for us. If we get a chance to see it in theaters.
We can totally freak out when Maul shows a double-bladed lightsaber, like
All over again, just like we're 11.
freak out. We can make him feel like we're like, Connor, you see that? He's got 2.
Well, he knows, and that's the thing. He knows Maul. Like, he knows
Oh, yeah.
the characters from watching me play Lego Star Wars. He would sit and watch me play that game. But for not hours, because I didn't play it that long. But regardless, he knows Rey, Padme, Anakin, Dooku, all these characters because he watched me play the Lego game. So I think he would understand it to a point. He would love the space, the dog fighting and everything like that. But there's a lot of politicking at the start of that movie before it gets interesting. So it's dropping May 3rd. I have to imagine it's going to be in theaters at least through the full-on 25th anniversary, which I think was May 27th. Hold on. May 19th. It came out May 19th. So maybe it's only a 2-week window. I don't know, because Return of the Jedi was a similar short period.
Yeah, it was very short. Yeah.
So I can only imagine how difficult it will be to get a ticket on May 4th, which is that Saturday. But
yeah, I'm probably not gonna try that, but you never know.
I mean, if it's anything like it was when I saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters, where you get everybody dressed up and bringing in lightsabers and the whole shebang, it could be a lot of fun if you manage to score a ticket. So, now one thing I wanted to talk about while we were here was some of the quotes that came out of the interview. There was one that was maybe not so family friendly that Ian McDiarmid had about Palpatine. We won't cover that one here. But there was something from Samuel L. Jackson. He was asked, what are your thoughts, or what were your thoughts? There it is. What were your thoughts on Mace's death? And his response was, he's not dead. So my question to you, and I think we've talked about this maybe at a point in our 2-year history. Do you want Mace to come back? Would you want a Mace series or a Mace film outside of Tales of the Jedi? Like, do you want like a live action sort of Mace story?
So the only problem with that is it's going to be like either de-age Samuel L. Jackson for something, or make him look just incredibly old because he fell out of a 20-story building. Probably higher than that, really. So yeah, I mean, would I like to see it? Why not? I mean, it's more Star Wars, and if it's Samuel L. Jackson in the role, I'll take that too. I just think that they would probably have to go younger for it. Mm-hmm. So it probably would not be him unless they did like this is what happened to Mace after he fell. So right,
and then I guess you could do it as animation, but then you got to think, okay, do we use the Clone Wars animation, or do we use Tales of the Jedi animation, or do we create new animation for it?
Yeah, I don't know. What about you? Would you take more Mace Windu?
I would take a Mace Windu story if it gave some background into his sort of understanding of the Force and the way that he, delved into the dark side teachings, right? To kind of mold his style, right? Because his vapid fighting style, right, is very aggressive. It's not dark side per se, but it pulls
Pieces.
Yeah, pieces. Yeah, like little components, right? And it channels both sides to kind of create this very aggressive fighting style, right? His purple lightsaber blade, right? The thought being, of course, that it's a mix of a red crystal and a blue crystal, right? Or maybe it's just because Sam wanted purple, right? Which is the prevailing story, but. And there is a comic series that's coming out. Actually, it may be out now through Marvel. So it's possible the comics will delve into that a bit, which should be okay also. But I would be in favor of kind of like an early Mace with his upbringing through through his training to kind of see how he became that crusty, rule following Jedi that nobody really cares for. At least from those who watch the Clone Wars don't really care for, right?
No, right.
So
Absolutely.
I would take that. I don't really want post fall out the window Mace, just because he's probably not lurking around doing a whole bunch of extraneous activities with the Empire, quickly rising, but who knows? I mean, maybe we get like the Nick
Yeah,
Fury.
he's missing a hand.
Yeah.
He got electrocuted.
Yeah.
You
He's torched up. So, but yeah, no, that's I would take it if it was like an earlier Mace, kind of like you said, which probably lends itself only to animation because I don't really want a de-aged Sam Jackson. But any continuation of a story that is good and well thought out, I'm here for. Next bit of news, right? We had yesterday, I think it was yesterday, or maybe a day and a half ago, there was an article that came out about a Mandalorian game that Respawn is developing, which is in early development, and there's obviously not a ton of details on it, but so Insider Gaming is the publication that kind of broke, I guess, the story. So it says, I'm reading from an IGN article here. It says, lets players control a Mandalorian bounty hunter during a time when the Empire is dominating the galaxy. So, could be anywhere from, say, 10, anywhere from like that 1510 BBY through like 4 or 5, maybe BBY.
Yeah, through Return of the Jedi, really. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, during the Galactic Civil War, I mean, is the Empire kind of dominating at this point, or are they still dominating at that point, or is there some cracks in the armor, so to speak, right? Because we've already got Star Wars Outlaws, which takes place between Empire and Jedi. So if you had overlap there, I feel like, well, why doesn't my bounty hunter run into my scoundrel in my in my Outlaws game? But the article goes on to talk about it being, quote, fast-paced, with multiple gadgets like wrist rockets, grapple hook, health regenerating upon successive kills. So it's going to be, I guess, less about catching and more about eliminating targets.
It feels more like a God of War type style game. Get more health by defeating enemies.
Oh yeah, that was a fun game too. And along those lines, the article goes on to talk about it being a sort of linear mission-to-mission type game structure as opposed to open world. So kind of, again, differentiating itself from the Outlaws game that we should be seeing later this year. It goes on to complete by saying there's no word yet on multiplayer, and it's likely a year or two away. Which, if it's in early development, I would be shocked if it's any earlier than 2026.
2 years. Yeah, I mean, I would expect 2 years.
Yeah.
Minimum.
So it's interesting because Respawn is, of course, the studio that has done the Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order games. So, of course, they're working on the third game for that. And apparently they also have an untitled Star Wars first-person shooter game and a Star Wars strategy game that they're also working on. So they are fully engrossed. They are like
quite busy.
They are the Star Wars studio, apparently. So, which is okay because the Jedi games have been amazing.
Listen, as long as EA doesn't get it again, I don't care.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting too because there was a bit of stuff last year, middle of the year, where they had supposedly like an EA or former EA DICE employee released a whole bunch of like not pre-dev, but early dev footage of a Mandalorian-like game, which of course didn't come to fruition or anything like that. So it'll be interesting if there's any sort of similarities to that. If it's a it says first person. So, but in any case, with Outlaws coming out this year, I think the KOTOR remake got reignited. I think that's back in the works again. And then now you've got this, along with apparently a couple other Star Wars games coming, plus the third Jedi Survivor. I don't know what they're going to call it, but the third Jedi game. It's a good time to be a Star Wars gaming fan. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, see, I went out of order. I even wrote the order down. Wait, Carl Weathers, Mandalorian game.
Didn't want to stop you. You're on a roll.
I was on a roll. Okay. So the last thing we'll get into, which is again the bulk of the discussion, is going to be the Bad Batch predictions. So we are less than 3 days away now.
3 whole days.
Recording this Sunday evening. 3 episodes drop Wednesday. We will be actually joining the Hyperspace Heroes podcast on Thursday evening. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. So be sure to tune into their show on Thursday evening to listen to John and I yak it up with Brown Squadron. So really looking forward to that. But yeah, we've done this in the past with the last 2 seasons. We've tried to predict things that are going to happen. So first, like I said, I have like 4 things I think we can kind of discuss or maybe, chat about. So I've got Asajj's involvement, the state of the cloning project, surprise cameos, and then how does it end, the fate of the crew, right? Mm-hmm. And then anything else you want to talk about. But I have kind of like those 4 things. Where do you want to start?
I mean, we start right at the top, I feel like.
Okay.
Asajj's
involvement. So what do you predict her involvement will be?
So I feel like she's going to be one of the hired guns that comes after them. So I assume she's doing some scoundrel type stuff and bounty hunting or bounty hunting. There's no reason why she would not be. I mean, she's obviously has lightsabers, and she should be pretty good at her job if she can still wield the Force, which I just assume is also a thing that she is able to do. So I don't see a reason why she wouldn't be the bounty hunter that you send after people if you need it. So I assume that she'll be introduced as someone that's after the squad. So
you think that she will go back to working with the Empire, or for the Empire, not with, but for?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why not. Gotta make money.
I mean, that's true. So you think she goes?
And the Emperor in the trailer said at any means necessary.
Yeah, the interesting thing will be how they tie it back to, again, the Dark Disciple
right.
story arc, right? So, she's, at least from my understanding, again, I haven't read it or listened to it yet, which it's on my short list of books to listen to, it would seem not counterproductive or anything like that, but kind of the opposite of the way that her character was in the story. Now, we talked a couple weeks ago about, is it possible that it could be like flashbacky type things? If that's all we get her in, I think that would be kind of disappointing. I'm hoping that if she is, for some reason, like, I'm hoping that maybe the Batch is who hires her to go after people pertaining to, whether it's like Delta Squad or one of the other detachments that comes after the Bad Batch. Like, she's actually like helping them. The trailer would seem to indicate otherwise.
Yeah, and I think we discussed during that conversation that we thought it was a bit of a red herring, the way they cut that, which I think I was on board with the the flashback scenes during that conversation. I just think that it makes sense that the highest bidder gets the person, and I think the Empire is going to throw a lot of money at everybody. So
yeah, I just
for the trailer,
I just hope we get her for more than like one, like maybe like half an episode. Like, I hope that whatever her involvement is there some meat on the bone there.
I would hope so. I mean, she was in the trailer. If she was only in half an episode, why even bother putting her in the trailer, other than to make it seem like she's more than she really.
Hype, John.
She's more than meets the eye.
She's the Optimus Prime of Dark Disciples. If she could somehow find a way to help kind of bring down sort of the Empire's plan, I think that would be kind of a fun, I don't know, wrinkle in her story arc.
And the other thing that it could be, the Batch might have hired her, but just thinking about how they are about not killing clones and not killing, like, just going to stun on everything, except when Wrecker has a tank.
They're just sleeping, John. They're just sleeping.
Maybe it turns into a situation where they're like, we don't want you to kill these men, like, and she turned on them because they're trying to stop her from killing. Could happen also. Could also happen. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll probably all be wrong completely.
100%. Well, and along those lines, so let's jump then to surprise cameos. Like, aside from the ones that we've already seen from the trailer, right, with like Cad and Fennec and everything like that, do you suspect that there will be any sort of like, whoa, didn't expect that appearances?
Oh, who could show up? Cal Kestis somewhere?
I mean, it's a little early for him.
Yeah, but we saw Kanan and Clone Wars as just a Padawan, so for that first episode when when Bad Batch was introduced, so I could just see something happening where something weird, and you're like, oh hey, like I know that guy, I know him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be early for him though. Who else can we get? I didn't really put a lot of thought into this one because I feel like most of the players we know already, that are in the game, So I think the surprise for me, could you bring up Wolf last time?
Yeah.
I didn't actually catch that in the trailer. You had caught that one. I'm like, ooh, Wolf would be a cool one to see. But yeah, other than that, I kind of expected the bounty hunters to be back. That's not surprising to me. Anywhere they could put Cad Bane is a win for Star Wars Lucasfilm right now. I wouldn't doubt we see some Boba.
Yeah, I still think he's too young. Also, I mean, he would be a teenager at this point. Like he would be.
I mean, he would have been flying around at this point. Yeah, I mean, he would have been in. He'd be getting into the game.
That would be an interesting. That would be an interesting one. We've been calling Boba for 2.5 years and been wrong, like from the beginning about Boba showing up. So this would be the perfect time to throw him in.
Yeah, because now you're years later too. Like
True.
Omega in the trailer looked much older. So, yeah, I mean, you'd be looking at about to get into his, we'll call it his cocky prime, Boba Fett, probably. You know,
the thing with. So looking back at the trailer, right, I pointed out that one scene where it looks like you have a 212 trooper, not 212, Mace's battalion, I forget. Anyways, 222nd, and then the shock trooper, right, the red shock trooper.
Right.
It'd be interesting if you get somebody like, and I don't know if Fox is still around or if he's still, tied to the hip of, I mean, he's not tied to the hip of Palpatine anymore because they've been replaced by presumably either the Elite Guard, the Royal Guard, or Delta Squad. You see it in the trailer, but maybe that's for Hemlock's group. I don't know. But like the Coruscant shock troopers, right, would perhaps have been sort of dissolved or moved out. So, if you end up with somebody like Fox coming back to help team up with like Echo and Rex because they're out there trying to collect other clones,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
I think for the Empire, it would be cool if we saw somebody like, well, of course, Vader. Like Vader's an easy one that could show up at some point to, I don't know, necessarily oversee anything per se, but he'd be one heck of a soldier for the Empire, right? When Mount Tantiss inevitably comes under attack. But I've seen some theories about Orson Krennic showing up, which would be interesting. I don't know why he would be there, per se.
He's just
but
he's just a higher up in the military.
Right. Yeah, he hasn't been reassigned
know.
yet to work on the Project Stardust or anything like that. So that would be interesting. As for good guys, I can't honestly think of any. Definitely, I can't think of any Jedi that would show up. Of course, although it would be interesting if going back to Asajj, if depending on how they use her, if Quinlan shows up at some point, that would be really interesting. I think more of the cameos will come, and I say cameos, but more of those appearances will come maybe from old clones that we haven't seen in a while. So like I said, whether that's Fox or we already talked about Wolf. Wolf's kind of not 100% confirmed, but he looked pretty evident there. We got Gregor last season, didn't we?
Yes, he was in one of their break-ins.
Yeah, so we won't get him. So anyway, so I'm leaning more towards Imperial cameos, whether it's Krennic, Vader. Be cool to get Quinlan. I do think Cal is too young. Cal hasn't even tapped into his Force powers yet because the Braca intro for Fallen Order is 5 years post Order 66, and I still don't even know that we've made it that far into this series, despite what's sure to be a pretty big time jump. So
I just know we've been to Braca multiple times now, so I just.
Yeah, and it's not the scrapyard the way it is yet in Jedi Fallen Order. So, I mean, there's a bunch of scrap there, but they're not. The Empire's not using it as their stripped down,
right?
What have you. Anyways, so those would probably be my guesses. I like the Boba one because it kind of plays into the Clone Rebellion that's in Legends. You could do like a reverse rebellion here, where he's somehow involved, and they use the clones at the facility to fight back. I don't know. Based on Crosshair's state in the trailers, I don't know that many people there would be in fighting shape, but
Yeah.
Probably
not.
No, but if they wanted to throw in Boba, since they're bringing back all these other bounty hunters, like you said, I'd be okay with it. You get the Alpha and the Omega together in the story.
I figured that would happen at least once while we're here, but you never know. I mean, the other piece of it is we can always look for the other bounty hunters. Like Zuckuss, Greedo. You never know.
That's true. And along those lines of the clones, the Clone Rebellion, what do you think will be the fate of the cloning project on Mount Tantiss and Hemlock?
Hemlock's got to bite the dust, right? It's got to. I don't see how he makes it out of there clean.
After what they did to Tech, he's got to go. He's got to go.
Unforgivable.
Unredeemable.
I just think Nalase is already half sabotaging the deal. So I don't see it going well. So, which is why they're still working on stuff, in places like the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't have it perfected. The Empire didn't perfect it, obviously. So Mount Tantiss is not gonna end well for anything.
So do you see? So I'm of the same belief. I think that whatever sort of final shebang we get in this season is going to be the ending of all cloning operations on Mount Tantiss. I think they're going to blow up the damn mountain.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you blow up a mountain, but they're definitely gonna do something with the mountain.
I don't even think it's going to be the batch. I think they're going to self-destruct it so nobody finds out what they were doing there.
Which would be slightly unsatisfying, because I want the Bad Batch to be the one to what I could see, and this kind of I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I could totally see like Hunter making like the sacrifice to be the one to like
blow the bomb,
Armageddon style. He's going to be Harry Stamper. He's going to stay behind. He's going to blow up the asteroid. He's going to blow up that's going to be his thing, as everybody else is getting, escaping and flying away. And you just see it's like his Kanan moment, I suppose, if you will. And that's how you send Hunter off. But yeah, I don't see Hemlock escaping. I hope that, the
trailer kind of made it seem like their little assistant was going to start to help Omega. She looked like she felt bad for Omega in the trailer.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there was a second sort of teaser, I don't know if you saw it, where it's Omega talking to Crosshair through one of the vents, I guess, and wanting to try to talk to him about formulating an escape plan. He's like, there's no escape, But she's like, I can ask... I don't remember what her sister's name, right? The sister clone, for assistance. And Crosshair's like, you're far too trusting, or you trust too easy. And Omega says, maybe you don't trust enough. And then that's like the end of it. So yeah, it could be her. She could assist in some way, but I feel like you got to have somebody kind of closer to the higher up to kind of adequately sabotage. So Nalase possibly could be a component of that. But whatever happens, I see that mountain exploding at the end of season 3.
Fiery greatness.
There's something has to go boom, and I want the mountain to go boom. So and then the last thing is, how does the season end? And what happens to the crew?
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for the crew. Do you want to start with this one, or do you want me to lead with it?
I mean, I can start, and then yeah,
Go for it.
I'll start. So I have a hard time seeing how most of the crew survives. I could see maybe one or two of them. Obviously, we know like Rex doesn't count. He's like an extension of the crew, right? So he doesn't really count. So you've got Echo, Hunter, Rika, Crosshair, and Omega, right? Those five. You know, you've talked a lot about Crosshair's redemption, right? And I do think that that is a very real possibility. Now, does that mean he escapes as part of his redemption? I don't know. I would love to see, for any of them that do go out, I want to see them go out in the most, like, on-character way possible, right? So, like, Crosshair go down fighting kind of the way he tried to do in Season 2 when he was trying to break out. Hunter, I feel like, needs to be more stoic and protective in if his story ends. I think, like I said, that's how he's going to go in protecting the rest of the crew. If that's the case, I hope his sort of sacrifice isn't necessarily in vain. But we have to think there's going to be a gap, and the question becomes, well, where was everybody during this period or this period, right? And why are they not with like Rex during Rebels, for example? Why is it just Rex and Gregor and Wolf? So I feel like the most Bad Batch way to end the show would be for them all to be together in destroying the mountain, like bringing that entire thing crumbling down, and like that being their send off. Not necessarily Omega, perhaps, but they're her brothers, and I doubt that she would ever leave them. Now, if they choose to do that, that would be pretty heavy. But
Just gonna Rogue One the whole thing.
You know, they definitely could. The problem is, again, you have the kid, so that would be a hard. Whereas with Rogue One, of course, everyone's an adult, so that would be a challenge to do, unless of course she escapes with, like, you know, whether that's like Fennec swooping in to like help pick her up on the way out, and the guys stay behind, or, you know, because what are Fennec and Cad's roles? Are they in the same boat where Fennec's kind of trying to help Omega and Cad's trying to help the Empire? I don't know, but like for the guys, I feel like saving Omega is the ultimate goal, and they'll do whatever they need to do to not only save her, but I think cripple the Empire, at least from their cloning perspective, at the same time. So
We didn't get it during Clone Wars, but what if we get the Cad and Boba showdown? Because Boba's protecting Omega.
that'd be cool. I mean, we actually said that last season, or Season 1, when we saw Cad the first time.
Yep.
We that's actually our first TikTok, believe it or not, was that discussion about Boba showing up and doing the standoff with Cad. So that would be cool. That would be cool. I would be in for that.
Because the only other thing that I could think for Cad would be if he got another standoff with Hunter. You know, already that doesn't. I mean, he's got some plot armor, pretty heavy plot armor.
Right.
So it's not like Hunter could beat him in a duel to kill him.
No.
So
yeah. So I guess to complete my prediction is that Omega survives. The Batch sacrifice themselves in a way to save her and cripple the Empire at the same time, and making Mountain go boom. So Big Hill go boom. Like that's, I feel like for them, it's always been about being together, fighting back, and in this case, it will be about protecting the kid, saving the kid, and helping her escape. And there's going to have to be sacrifices to along the way. I think Crosshair could be the one that kind of helps get her across the line, right? Like he finally comes back into the fold, like you've wanted forever. Yeah, so that's kind of where I am with my prediction. Sure to go wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with. I think that our Bad Batch is gonna. The Dad Batch, they're going down, unfortunately. It's gonna be sad. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt a lot. I see Crosshair redeem himself, and then pulling the "I'm gonna hold him here" kind of deal, like shut the door.
Hodor, he's gonna Hodor it.
Yeah, he's gonna Hodor it. Yeah, he's gonna shut the door and hold the line. Boy, Echo's just gonna die. I don't know what he's gonna do. I've never been a huge fan of Echo, so it's hard. It is what it is. Yeah, gosh, I'm so torn on this because, like I said before, with the duel thing, like we could get a rematch of the duel between Hunter and Cad, where Cad's like, "I thought I killed you last time. This time he does kill him." Like because the hope for all of us would be Hunter wins the duel again.
Yeah, but we know he can't, right? Like you just said.
We know he can't. Well, unless he stuns him. He could surprise everybody and stun Cad.
No, I think the stun guns are off for this last episode. I don't think they're going into stun anymore.
I don't think we can lose everybody in the last episode. So it's going to be like a 2-episode drop where it's, the penultimate episode is going to be at least 1, and then we might lose 2. I think we get one surviving Bad Batch member.
Who?
I think it's going to be Wrecker. I think Wrecker's going to make it.
That would make sense because him and Omega have always had that like big brother little sister type feel to their relationship.
Yeah. The ironic person to make it would be Crosshair.
Is that ironic? Is that I don't know if that's ironic.
Yes, because they'd be least expected to end up with Omega.
That would definitely be the most.
End.
That would definitely be the most surprising. That's for sure.
And he wants nothing to do with her, though.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
But then he'd be stuck.
If she was able to like convince him, like again, throughout the course of the season to,
sure,
to do that. But there was actually an article the other day on Dork Side about why Crosshair. It actually came out today. Did it come out today? Yeah, it was today. Why Crosshair should survive Bad Batch season 3. And I haven't had a chance to read it, so I'm not going to try and summarize it here. But there is, if you're interested in why Crosshair should survive, check out dorksideoftheforce.com, where yours truly is a contributor every so often.
Yeah.
Right. That is not my article. That was written by Matthew Rudoy. But yeah,
it's an interesting topic, though. Yeah.
It is, and one that is true. Like one's redemption arc doesn't always need to end in a sacrificial death. So I can get behind that concept. So do you also see Mount Tantiss going kaboom?
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be gone. Mount Tantiss will be no more by the end of the series. I actually wouldn't doubt if that's in the penultimate episode. That way the finale can be more wrap up versus the final mission.
What would there be to wrap up after that if everyone's dead, John?
Well, you still got Rex, you still got Omega.
Or they all go back to Sid's and they all pour one out, like you get Sid in the last episode. That would be such.
Maybe it's just a 5-minute finale.
It'd be such a knife stab if they brought back Sid. Everyone hates Sid.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point too. Yeah, Tantiss will go in the last episode then. I just feel like they're gonna get Omega earlier than that. There's no way they wait that long to get Omega back in the fold. So there's got to be a rescue prior to that, and then they might go back for it. And I know you read the episode titles previously, and I think we decided that it was like episode 5 or 6 or something like that was like.
Yeah, that was actually I literally was just typing that in as you as you said that. I was trying to find if I could.
But yeah, overall, yeah, I'm thinking we're gonna lose everybody except for one Bad Batch member, and I believe Omega makes it.
Yeah, so the last 2 episodes are titled Flash Strike, which bodes well for an assault. I mean, the episode right before that was Into the Breach. Then you have Flash Strike, and then the cavalry has arrived, which when we discussed things a few episodes ago, it was my thought that all of the clones that have been
rebel clones
have amassed from Echo and Rex and everybody like that will in one sort of felt swoop like take out the mountain. And if that includes like you were saying Boba or others, that would be cool. I'd be okay with that. So you've got Omega and Wrecker making it.
Yeah, I really, if I had to put a gamble on it, man, I almost want to put Crosshair up there now, but I'll stick with Wrecker.
Well,
I want the long shot.
You're gambling. You can gamble your integrity here, and complete your call. Complete the call. Have Crosshair make it.
Crosshair's gonna make it. He'll be the one. No, there's no way he's gonna sacrifice himself. Wrecker will be the one that makes it, I think.
All right, so
I'm gonna stick with Wrecker.
So you got Wrecker and Omega. I've got just Omega, of the 5. So, because again, I don't think Disney's dark enough to send the.
That's why I don't think they're gonna get rid of Wrecker. I think Wrecker's too much of the kid favorite to dump off. The kids didn't like Tech, Sean. They didn't care.
They didn't understand him, John.
Only I did.
He was my representation. Like, I understood him.
I think, yeah. Like Wrecker's just the fun, loving.
It's true.
Big dude that bowls into everything. So like, dude, kids love that guy.
That's true. That is true. You know, if they chose to...
Echo's almost a mini Tech. They don't really care that much about him either.
Stop it. Tech was 100 times better than Echo.
I said a mini.
He was not mini. No, you take that back. You take it back.
He literally has tools attached to him. He's kind of like Tech. That's disappointing. I'm angry.
That's disappointing. I'm just going to let that be.
Let the hate flow.
I'm going to let the hate flow through me and just target it towards Mount Tantiss and it exploding. But whatever happens, obviously, it's going to be one heck of a ride.
We're excited to see it.
I cannot wait for Wednesday.
How many filler episodes do you think we're gonna get? I think it's gonna be pretty rapid fire.
Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a ton. There's not a whole lot of character development that needs to happen anymore. Like everyone kind of has their space, their spots, their assignments. Everyone knows their roles. And I think it's time to, I mean, we're in Act 3, right? So Season 1, you're introducing characters. Season 2, you've got more kind of that fleshing out. And Season 3 is, well, it's Act 3. So, and I really feel like they've positioned each season as an act of a film, if you will. And the third act is always the boom. So the big climactic finish. And I think that's what we're in for. So I cannot wait. So, anything else you want to add about the Bad Batch?
I'm good. Just excited to start on Wednesday.
For sure. So yeah, we're gonna kind of wrap things up. So we want to thank you all for listening. If you've made it this far, again, be sure to follow or subscribe to the show. Leave a rating and review. Again, Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, what have you, your platform of choice. You know, we would greatly appreciate it. And be sure to link up with us on social media. The links to the show will be in the show notes. We are most active on Twitter, but Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. Come find us. Be sure to, and if you like, if you have any things you'd like to hear in the future, be sure to reach out to us. Check out the back catalog of episodes where you're sure to find something you'll enjoy, and be sure to share us with your friends. Join us, and together we will rule the galaxy. Like last episode, we're going to leave you once again with a little nugget of wisdom, and that is, it is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. With that, we'll bring this episode to a close. So for Jedi John, I'm Obi-Shawn, and until next time,
May the Force be with you.
Force diverge.